Hello, welcome back to Subtech Online. It's me again, Sabit Christopher, to take you through the cross filter function in Excel. So, in this, we are going to look at having two graphs or having a report or a presentation where you use one of the graphs which cross filters the second graph. So showing you the data, this is it, just a simple data showing the number of shops, that is from A up to D, then the phone types and the quantities sold in each shop. So we are going to use this to come up with search. So one is going to be our main graph, that is phone sold per shop. So we shall have shop A up to D, and everything that is sold in shop A will be details will be shown in another graph, which we are going to be filtering using graph 1. So you check that when I click on shop B, it filters all what was sold in shop B, and when I do the same with C, it does the same. So that is it we're going to look at. And when you check very well, you see even the graph title is the chart title is dynamic. So the moment I click on D, it will show you that font type sold in shop D. So that is, let's start. So the first thing we are going to do here is I've created data in another sheet. We are going to have another sheet for our pivots. I will call it working sheet. So in the working sheet, the first thing I will ask you to do is creating a table from our data. The only thing you do here is you could do a Control T, or you come on insert and insert a table. For my case, I've already inserted a table. That's why you see it having this tab of table design. So I'll call my table row, and that is it. Okay, call my table row. Now the second thing is we are going to create pivots from this data of ours. So creating a pivot, click in the data, go on insert, and create a pivot from there. So you get a dialog box. We already have a sheet where our pivots are going to be created in. So I will do existing worksheet. Click on the existing worksheet. I will start from cell B2. So that is okay. So I'll get now the empty framework of a pivot table. What do I need in this case? I need we are focusing on creating the font sold per shop, which means we need shop and quantity. So going back, so what does it mean here? We are going to pick shops in two rows, and we shall pick the quantity sold into values. So quickly, I'm going to change the designs here. So click on design, create this one into short tabular form such that we can read the exact columns. I will change that by replacing it with space. So this is our first pivot table. I will copy this, paste it on another position. Then this time we are changing this. Remember, now we are focusing on having the details of every shop, but the font types with the quantities. So it means here we are going to have uh, font types and the shops included in one pivot. So what do we do now? It means that we are going to have the shops in the columns, then we have the font types in the rows. So that's what you get. So I think this is it. I can remove the totals because we don't need the totals. So click in the pivot. We can call this as shop pivot pvt. Then we can call this one pvt fun. Okay, now we have named our pivots. I don't need the grand totals. for the columns, but I will need this one for the row. We can leave it, so I don't need this for the columns, so we are going to remove it. How do you remove it? Click anywhere in the pivot table, go on design, grand totals, you remove you need only for the rows, so I will remove those such that I remain with those ones. The same thing I do here, I remove that. So I think now it is okay. When you check this is these are two pivot tables of which they are not related, which means if I select shop A here, so you see there is no relationship between the filtering, so it remains intact. Now what am I going to do? Because I need this to be interrelated, interconnected, which means I'm going to have a slicer created in one of the two. So creating a slicer, you can create a slicer. I'm going to use this one. So creating a slicer, click in that pivot. There are two ways of creating slicers. Right click on the slicer. That one is by the number of by the type of shop. So I'll right click on shop in the pivot table fields, then add a slicer. This is it. Another option of creating a slicer is click anywhere in the pivot table. You're going to insert. No. You go to pivot table analyze, then you come and insert a slicer. Still here it will give you an option of selecting what you need. Still I need shop, and this is it. So what are we focusing is we are focusing at having this chart. These are going to be our slicers because every selection we make has to change something on the graph. So let's first get our graphs intact. We are going to create a graph for the first graph for the shops and the quantities sold. So for the shops and quantities sold, this one is select anywhere, then you come and insert a chart. You can choose from anywhere, but I will choose this. Then after inserting this chart, I'll remove the buttons. Then I don't need the axis, delete. I don't need the grid lines, delete. I don't need the legend, delete. Then right click on this, format options. So here they are. I'm going to reduce on the gap width such that my bars are bigger enough for visibility. Okay, then I think that is it. We can change that. So I will copy this. Now, when you check that if I select shop A, it doesn't also interact with this, which I want because I don't want it to interact with this one. I want it to interact with the second one. So I will transfer my graph one and my slicer. I cut them, create another sheet, paste them there. So we shall call this sheet chart sheet. Okay, now the first thing is I'll remove the grid lines such that everything is visible we are doing. Now, we need to create another chart, that is another chart from these details. So I will create a chart from here. Here it is, uh, insert chart. So this time I'm going to take this chart, this type of chart. So still the same thing, I'm going to remove the buttons, field buttons, and I remember everything here is selected. Now when you check very well that if I select the shop and I select shop A, you'll see that we're going to have only shop A selected. When you do the same for shop B, it will be the same like that. So that's what we are going to deal with, and we are going to do that using our slicer. You see, when I select B, it also changes to B. Okay. Now, bring back the slicer maybe to have this one clearly completed from here. So, if I connect this slicer, to connect my slicer to only pivot for the font types, which means I'll click on the slicer settings here. the report connections. So I'll find it is correct connected to pivot phone. It is not connected to pivot shop, which I said it is okay, so that is okay, which means if I click on shop A, it will be only filtering out shop A. If I click shop B, it will be filtering out shop B, and that's what I want. So cancel this. Now I'm going to transfer the both of the two on the other end. So I'll copy this, cut this, and paste it here. Okay, this is it. Now we have our graph here, the second one, and we have our slicer. Now the first thing is I'm going to first deal with a slicer. We have to make sure that instead of the horizontal axis, we have to make it the slicers. So we are going to convert this. First of all, when I click on slicer, I create 4 columns from there, such that it is now 4 columns. Okay, I have to adjust it such that it fits. I think this is it. Now the next thing I go for is deleting the horizontal axis, and I will reduce this up to around there, which means if I brought this one here, I will be doing the selections. But before we do that, we have to change the the formatting of the slicer. So how do you change the formatting of the slicer? Click on the slicer, come slicer. Now this is the slicer type style, so I have to pick one of the style. The style I need is not there. I want all these should be without color, no color, no color with no borders. So I will right click on this, duplicate. Um, I'll call this one custom. Okay. Now this is the custom. I'm going to change this. I modify. Now the first thing we are going to do is first the whole slicer. What are we going to do? We format. So the whole slicer, sorry, the whole slicer font, we need the font to stay like that. The border, we need no border. The fill, we need no fill. Okay. Then we go to header. We shall not need any header. We are going to remove the header, so we can skip that. Selected item with data format. So I want the selected item to have no color, no fill, no border. But for the font, I want it to be bold and italic. So I can go with that. So I will do okay. Then selected item with no data. Still we do the same. This one is going to be bold, no border, no border. I'll be some more quick now. Okay, this. Okay, now everything is done. I'll do okay. Now after doing okay, and you see it automatically it automatically applies the style. So this is what I wanted. The next thing is I will right click on the slicer, go to the slicer settings, slicer properties, sorry, slicer settings. Now in the slicer settings, I have to display header off. So I'll remove this. Okay. Now this is what I wanted. So I will reduce this up to that extent. Then now you see everything is bolded at the moment. Everything is bolded at the moment because it was selected. So I've selected B. Now it has given me shop B. When I select C, it gives me shop C. When I select D, it gives me shop D. So that's what I want. So what I will do, I will try to expand on this. I think that is okay. So now it is better off. There. Now we go on another part. We are going to change these colors. So I'll click on A. Go to design format. Sorry, format. I'll change this to, shall use default colors. I can go with, let me start with blue. Then the second, I go with orange. The third, I go with yellow. The fourth, I go with green. So we do the same thing. Here I'm going to press a control, then click on what is selected, that is C, such that I can select all. So you check now that all are selected. So we begin with D. D has been made green. Then C, C has been made yellow. B has been made orange, and F finally is our blue. So that is it. So we beautify this. We remove grid lines. I don't need them. I don't need the axis. So I will insert values. So that is it. So it means that now if I click on A, I'll be selecting A, which is blue. B, I'll be selecting what is in B, that is shop B. So C, I'll be doing the details for C, and D, I'll be doing this. So guys, this one helps you in interactivity of your report. It can be a dashboard, it can be a presentation done directly into Excel, and it beautifies the way how you present to the audience. Now, the next thing which I'm going to end with is creating a dynamic heading title. So for this one, the title can be general because there is no change. I can call this font type sold per shop. Okay, we can call this font sold per shop. I think that is fine. Now this heading, we want it dynamic, which means I'll come this side. So now you'll find here that we are, because D is selected, that's why we are having F to be a D. If I unselect everything, it means that the grand total will move to J. But every time you have selected one, the grand total will be at G. So what does this one mean? I will put an equal sign. This one is if G3, if G3, that one, I can even lock it. Sorry. If G3 is not equal to grand total, then which means if this is not equal to grand total, which means you have selected everything, nothing is selected out. It means you bring for us the heading as font sold in all shops. Or else they should bring for us font types sold in. Now we need here to demarcate the font type, the shop. So here we shall do, close this, then and. Now here we are selecting, that will be now F2, which means anything that will be in F2, it is what we shall be picking here because it is the one which will be selected. So this is F2, and we enter. So at the moment, because everything is selected, that's why we're having fonts sold in all shops. So the moment I select the shop A, it will give me fonts sold in shop A. Sorry, this is supposed to be a 3, this is supposed to be a 3. So that is it. So if I select a B, it will give me now a B. So that means that if I can come this side and change my chart type, click on the edges of the chart type in the address bar equals to, then you link it to this. So this is it, which means now if I select C, it will have to change font type sold in shop C. If you click on D, it will have to change shop type, font types sold in shop D. So guys, that is it. Thank you for watching. Meet you in another video. Bye.